Hi friends, welcome. Hello, how are you all? So, this is the last session in theory of microeconomics. Okay, though there are many things besides this, though this will be the last session for class 11 and 12, microeconomics. In this session, we will be seeing about price determination. We have studied two components of microeconomics, right? Producer and consumer. We found how they attain equilibrium and we found the pattern of their desires, right? We also in last lecture we discussed about market. The combination or the meeting of buyers and sellers creates market, right? We discovered the various forms of market and the various components of market, various characteristics of market, everything done. Now, we want to discuss how the market will be in equilibrium. Okay, the basic condition for the market to be equilibrium. Okay, market to be equilibrium is all what the buyers want to buy is supplied by the sellers at the price desired by the buyer. And along with this, all what the sellers want to sell is purchased by the buyers at the price at which the seller wants to sell. So, how can we tell it? At given price, all what the buyers want to buy is equal to all what the sellers want to sell. Okay, thus at price, at equilibrium price, demand is equal to supply. Okay, at equilibrium price, demand will be equal to supply. Let's take, there are two people, one buyer and one seller. And the buyer said, "Hi brother, hi, I will buy 10 units for rupees 1, 8 units for rupees 2, 6 units for rupees 3, 5 units for rupees 4, 4 units for rupees 5 and 3 units for rupees 6. Okay, maximum price is 6 rupees. Now, just the buyer telling this is not enough. We will have to go to the seller. The seller said, "Hi brother, hello. I will sell you 10 units for rupees 6, 8 units for rupees 5, 5 units for rupees 4. Okay, and as the price goes on, he goes 5 units for rupees 4, 3 units for rupees 2, 1 unit for rupees 1 and 0 units for rupees 0. So, but just these people telling will not be enough. Okay, they will have to meet each other. So, they are coming in contact at one place. This will be the market. And let's say this is the market. And A is the buyer and B is the seller. Okay. And they say, "Hi, hello, welcome. And all formalities done. Then they start. A says he will buy 10 units for rupees 1. Okay. 10 units for rupees 1. Okay. A says, "Hey brother, I'll give you rupees 1 each and you give me 10 units. And the seller, he says, "Hey brother, are you foolish? I will sell you only 1 unit for rupees 1. If you want 10 units, you pay rupees 6. 10 at rupees 6. If you want 10 units, you pay me 6 rupees each." So the buyer is not satisfied. So he says, "Okay, I will give you 2 rupees. You supply me 8 units. Okay, 8 at rupees 2 each." "Brother, are you foolish? What am I to do? 16 rupees total for 8 units. What am I to do?" Sir, give me something, sir. Should I beg like this?" The seller says, "I will give you 2 units at rupees 2. Only 2 units I will give you at rupees 2. Okay. That's also done. So what will happen? Then they will go again. Buyer will say, okay brother. I'll give you rupees 3 and you supply me 6 units. Okay. But the seller even now is not satisfied. No brother, I don't think I can supply you 6 units for rupees 3. Okay, if you are okay, at rupees 3 I will supply you 4 units. Okay, so what will happen? The buyer, then the seller will negotiate. Okay, how many units will you buy at rupees 6? The seller asked the buyer, how many units will you buy at rupees 6? And the buyer says he will buy 1 unit at rupees 6. Even then, there's a dilemma between them, disagreement between them. So, what will happen now? Then the seller will again propose, okay bro, how I will sell you, I will sell you 8 units for rupees 5 each. 8 units for rupees 5 each. 8 at rupees 5. But now what will A tell? A will say, okay, no bro, you will supply 8 units, but I should be ready to buy now. I will buy you 4 units. The rest 4 you do whatever you like. So what will happen? He will buy 4 units at rupees 5. Now the final point is rupees 4. At rupees 4, wait a moment. Eight units at rupees 5 and 10 units at rupees 6. He will buy 4 units at rupees 5 and 1 unit at rupees 6. Now the final price they can reach is rupees 4. Okay, then the buyer will tell, okay bro, okay, well, let us forget everything, but I want to erase everything. I will buy 5 units from you at rupees 4 each. At rupees 4, he says he will buy 5 units. And the seller says, okay bro, I will sell you 5 units at rupees 4. Okay. He also says he will sell you 5 units at rupees 4. This is all. This is the demand schedule of the buyer and this is the supply schedule of the seller. And they are agreeing to sell and buy 5 units of the commodity at rupees 4 each. Okay, now whatever the seller B is ready to sell at rupees 4 is fully purchased by A, the buyer. And whatever A desires to buy at rupees 4 is supplied fully by B. Both of their wants are fully satisfied. They do not desire to have anything else. So rupees 4 is the equilibrium price or market price of the commodity. Okay, this is what happens. Now let us take this as diagrammatically. Okay, diagrammatically. When we take diagrammatically, we'll have as usual our graph 0, x and y, quantity and price. We know the demand curve will be downward sloping. We are taking a linear demand curve. Okay. And the supply curve will be upward sloping. Okay. Definitely there will be a point at which they meet. Let's take it as E. At this point, whatever the buyer decides to buy is sold by the seller, and whatever the sellers decide to buy are purchased by the buyers. There are many buyers and there are many sellers. We are taking the market as a whole. So at this point, the market will be in equilibrium. Okay. We are taking the case of perfect competition. We are not considering monopoly or monopolistic or oligopoly. Simple situation we are taking in the case of perfect competition. So this will be the quantity and price, OQ and OP. Now, can this price vary over time or will it be constant? Think of it. Any idea? I'll tell you. See, in the long run, might be even in the short run, a few factors can change demand or supply. We are not considering the price because as the price changes, the price cannot change even after this. Why? Because the equilibrium has been attained. So other factors can change. Right. Like price of related goods, price of other things, or cost of inputs, anything can change. What will they have impact on the demand curve? They are capable of shifting the demand curve or supply curve to the right or left. Let us consider one by one. Say the demand curve shifts to the right to a new demand curve. D1 S. Okay, and S is not at all changing. Any factor influencing the supplier is not changing, and only the factor influencing the consumer is changing. So it has a positive impact, and therefore the demand will be shifting outwards to the right. At this point, what will happen? Here, they are meeting not at the original point. They are meeting at a different point. This is Q1 and this is P1. What is the relationship between P1 and P and Q1 and Q? Definitely Q1 is greater than Q and P1 is greater than P. Right. Q1 is greater than Q. Look, Q1 is greater than Q and P1 is greater than P. So when demand curve shifts to outwards to the right, definitely the price as well as quantity will increase. On the contrary, if demand curve is shifting slightly towards the left, to a new curve B2. Here what happened? They are meeting here. Now let's see P2 and Q2. Now Q2 is less than Q and P2 is less than P. Okay. Q2 is less than Q and P2 is less than P. So what do we infer? What do we infer from this? Whatever impact or change happens on demand for a commodity due to factors other than price, the same type of change will happen to equilibrium price as well as quantity. So that is variable because supply is not changing. Okay. So what this means, when demand is increasing without any changing supply, equilibrium price as well as quantity will increase. When demand is decreasing, okay, without any change in price, then equilibrium price and quantity will fall. Now let us consider supply. Demand, Mr. Demand, you please keep constant. Please don't disturb the market. So you can be free. Mr. Supply is going to change. So what will happen if supply changes? Let's say due to some factor, supply is shifting to the right, outward shift. Supply curve is moving to new curve S1. what will happen? It is meeting demand curve at this point, Q1 and P1. What is the relationship between Q1 and Q? Q1 is greater than Q, you can infer. But T1 is less than P. Why did this happen? The reason is when demand increases, supply will be short of demand, right? At equilibrium point. So what will happen? The buyer's needs will not be satisfied by supply. So there will be competition among buyers and this will push the price up and quantity up. Okay. However, when supply is increasing without a change in demand, suppliers will face a competition. They are forced to sell their products. So definitely as prices need to be lowered in order to sell the produce. So whenever supply increases, equilibrium quantity will increase, but equilibrium price will fall. Similarly, when supply falls, say to S2, what will happen? Equilibrium quantity has fallen. Q2. Okay, Q2 and P2 has risen. The reason here is supply has fallen short of demand. Okay, so definitely only lesser quantity will be sold for any price. But here think of the quantity case at equilibrium price. Here is a difference of this much between demand and supply. There is excess demand and not excess supply. So this will have competition among buyers which will push the price up. The buyers, because they want to buy the goods, they want to have the quantity satisfied. So they will have to sacrifice on their wishes and they will be ready to pay higher price. Okay, this is the case when either demand or supply changes. Okay, so before I tell you what will happen if both of them are changing, let us just tabulate this what happened. In case of demand change, demand is changing and what is the impact on price and quantity? Price, we are not taking as direct means increase, decrease and all. Whenever demand is increasing, price as well as quantity will increase. Whenever demand is falling, price as well as quantity will fall. So there is a direct impact of change in demand on both price and quantity. Right. Now let us take the case of supply. Okay. Then in the case of supply, whenever supply increases, quantity will rise, but price will fall. So there is a direct impact of change in supply on quantity, while there is inverse impact of change in supply on price. So whenever supply increases, price will fall. Whenever supply falls, price will rise. So this is what we can infer from our discussion. Now, what will happen if both demand and supply are changing? Definitely, if they are changing at equal quantity, equal proportion, so naturally what will happen? Here, X, O and Y, and let us say quantity and price. Both demand and supply are changing at equal quantity. Okay. Let's say demand is rising and supply is also rising. what will happen? Both their direction is same and there is no difference between the rate of change of demand and rate of change of supply. So what will happen? Price will be same and quantity will increase. Only this much. Price will be same. Price will not change at all. Quantity will increase because both are increasing. Demand is also increasing. The price also increasing. If both are falling, then also if the magnitude or proportion is same, then price will not change but quantity will fall. Now, if both are changing in the same direction and one of them is changing more than the other, if demand is changing more than the other, definitely since both are increasing, quantity will increase. However, direct impact on price is greater than the inverse impact. Think of it in that angle. When demand is increasing more than supply, direct impact on price will be more than inverse impact. So the net impact will be direct. That is D greater than S. If D greater than S, there will be direct impact. If D less than S, the inverse impact on price will definitely be higher than the direct impact. So there will be inverse impact on price. Since both these are changing in the same direction, we do not look at the quantity. But if both they are changing in opposite direction, supply is increasing and demand is falling. Think of it. I am just giving you only one example. I am not going to tell each and every case, but we need to know that supply is increasing. This is the initial equilibrium. Supply is increasing and demand is falling. So what will happen? This is the original point of equilibrium at here and here. Supply is increasing and demand is falling, and they meet at here. Price has fallen and quantity has risen. Think of it. Supply is increasing. Direct impact, increase in quantity, decrease in price. Demand is falling. Direct impact, decrease in price and decrease in quantity. Both are decreasing. So, if the magnitude is same, increase in quantity will compensate decrease in quantity. No, I mean, if demand is increasing more relative to supply, if demand is falling more, if demand is falling more in related to increase in supply, the impact will be decrease. Demand is falling more in relative to increase in supply. So, decrease in quantity and both are decreasing the price. So, there is nothing to think of price when they change in opposite direction. We'll have to see only the quantity. Okay, this is what. When they are changing in the same direction, both are increasing or both are decreasing, the only change that can happen, the only dilemma will occur in price. When they are changing in the opposite direction, the only dilemma will happen in quantity because they both create different impacts on price, but they create same impact on quantity. So, if demand increase, means if demand decrease is greater than supply increase. Here, supply increase is greater than demand decrease. So, supply increase is greater than demand decrease, therefore quantity has risen. However, if supply is increasing only a little and demand is falling a lot, the quantity will also fall. Now the price will definitely fall. There is nothing we need to consider about the price. If demand is falling and supply is rising, price will fall. If demand is rising and supply is falling, then also price will rise. Nothing change. Same, ditto. However, the quantity change will only matter. Okay. So this is all. We need to change only if the impact of demand is greater than impact on supply. We need to change. Say check. relevant point means if impact of demand is greater, the effect of demand on the price and quantity will be greater. Whichever influence is greater will prevail in the market. There is nothing like something like magic or something will not happen. This will only happen. So the basic what we know is whatever change in demand happen, they have direct or the same sort of impact on price and quantity. Whatever change happens in supply has direct impact on quantity and inverse impact on price. So, if they are changing in the same proportion, there is not much to do. But if they are changing in different proportion, it will matter if they are changing in the same direction or opposite direction. If they are changing in the same direction, the change will happen only in price. If they are changing in the opposite direction, the change will happen only in quantity because price will also change and in the other case quantity will also change. But both the impacts on price and quantity will be same. Like price, it will not happen that supply will increase price and demand will decrease price. Such a contradiction or conflict will not happen. So this is just basic what we need to know. The basic thing we need to know is the equilibrium will happen at a place where demand is equal to supply. And now I suggest is whenever you attempt a question, if you can visualize, that's best. Or if you just draw a minute rough demand curve, and with that you can, with demand and supply, and with that you can explain the impact very easily. Okay. So this is all with this session. Here we discussed about the conditions for equilibrium of market and how these can be altered, how these undergo change. Okay. So this will be with a discussion on the session as well as our discussion on microeconomic theory. Okay, so I hope you found this useful and I will be discussing more, but I don't know when. From the next session onwards, we will be starting macroeconomics. So please let me know what you felt about my lectures and also subscribe to my channel. Okay, so I am taking your leave now. Let me meet you in the next session on math.